Focusing on the goal is the least effective way for you to make it happen. Of course, it makes sense in our brain to do that because it's what we've been told to do. Write the goal down, visualize the goal, have a picture of the thing, imagine having the thing. But have you ever had a vision board and none of it became your reality? Have you ever put post-it notes with your goals on them around your office and not achieved them? I want you to liken it to a long car journey. You don't spend the whole time thinking about your destination. You focus on 1 mile at a time, staying safe, avoiding congestion, knowing where the next toilet is or where you can go get food. And so I want to teach you today about why focusing on the goal is the least effective way for you to make it happen and what you can do instead. So if you're ready, let's dive right in. So if you've had vision boards and written your goals down and you've still not achieved them, would you agree that the focus on the goal might not be where it's at? You see, the problem is when you focus on the goal, you are not focused on the only thing that can make the goal a reality in your life, which is how you show up for it. Instead, you want to start measuring the way you show up for your goal every single day. The actions that you take, the thoughts that you have, the identity that you choose, the connection that you have with the creative energy, all of those things. And today I'm going to share with you some of my secret rituals that I do on a daily basis, my best practices and top tips to help you start doing the same. So make sure you have your pen and paper. First off, though, I want to start by diving in a little bit deeper as to why focusing on the goal doesn't work. Number one is that it may trigger an unconscious fear response because it goes against your current program. So your brain's program already has a set expectation ceiling for you. This is what is possible, achievable for you. And when you start thinking outside of that, your brain freaks out. This is why it's so hard to take action and why you can't always understand, why am I not doing the things that I know I need to do because I really want this thing? Self-sabotage 101. Remember that your brain is wired for comfort, certainty, and safety. So your goal puts your brain into a fear response, into a triggered response, and it will kick back at you by reminding you how hard this is going to be, how painful it's going to be, how you don't know if it's going to work because you haven't achieved it right now. And you will feel that in your body, you will hear it in your brain, and you will act that program out. The second thing is that when you're focused on the goal, you're focused on the gap between where you are and where you want to go. And that sends you into this spiral of overwhelm and lack and frustration. And it just doesn't feel good because you're focused on, look at how far I've got to go. And the third thing, when you're focused on the goal, it really does stop you from taking radical personal responsibility for how you show up day to day. I want you to think about the goal as your North Star. It's the thing that you connect to so that you can amplify your motivation, so you can generate excitement because you get to choose to generate excitement about it and create some safety in your brain around it. And to remind you of your purpose, to remind you why you're doing this, why you love it so much, why it's so important to you. That's your North Star. But your power, where you are creating, is right now, in each and every moment of today. So what does make it so hard to focus on the day-to-day? I've got 5 things for you. Number 1, feeling like you're not doing enough. Such a common limiting belief that we have. I'm not doing enough. We feel like we have to be busier. We have to be doing more things. We have to be executing more strategies. We have to be doing what everybody else is doing. And as your to-do list gets longer, you feel more exhausted. You're spinning your wheels. You're still not getting the results that you want. And so you're reconfirming that program. Oh, this isn't possible for me. So just notice that feeling that you're not doing enough because it will stop you showing up fully for those few small things every day. Number 2 feeds into that, totally devaluing the small actions and the level of consistency. As you know, just as a little bit of a story about this, as you know, I've been a personal trainer since like 2012, and I had a personal training studio for about, 5 years or something. So I've worked out religiously since then, even before then, but certainly when I became a qualified trainer, I worked out religiously and I've seen some results. But what I didn't take responsibility for was how I could eat better to get me better results, or designing myself a program that was progressive. I just worked out, which is nothing wrong with that. But I share this with you because I'm doing a program now where it's 65 workouts and I'm on workout number 40. I did workout 46 this morning. And so much change, so much muscle growth, so much more definition, so much stronger, like visual and measurable differences, because I've showed up consistently for 5 workouts a week that have been designed for progression. I did not value the small act, the consistency of showing up for that workout every single day. Number 3, boredom. Doing the same things, even if they're slightly different, day in, day out, particularly when you don't see the results yet, can be really freaking boring. That's just a reality. Your business isn't here to entertain you all the time. You have to be willing to do that repetition to get the results that you want. Number 4, focusing purely on action and forgetting the power of your thoughts and your energy. We have become a culture that is logic bias. We have forgotten where we came from, what we truly are, and the power of thought and energy. And this feeds into the not doing enough. Or if I'm just sitting there thinking about things and shifting my energetic state, well, that's not enough because I haven't got something tangible, like to show the productivity for today. But that kind of thinking is holding you back. And number 5 is poor boundaries and priorities. It's very easy to put other people first, to read your emails and act on that straight away, or to see something on social media, or to put your family or friends first. That's going to make it harder for you to focus on what you need to do and how you need to show up day in, day out. So before we go on to this week's aha to action, I want to share some of the rituals that I use in my breath practices, so that you've got some idea of how you can answer this week's aha to action. Number 1, the most important thing is your morning stage, how you set yourself up for the day. If you can't dictate your day when you first get up, it's going to be really challenging for you to claim that back somewhere later on through the day. You get to choose what your morning stage looks like. I just want you to imagine this for a second, though. Imagine you go to see a show, I don't know, famous one, Phantom of the Opera or 42nd Street, whatever. And they have no props, and they have, can't think what the word is, but like they've got the stage, but there's no props, there's no scenery, there's no nothing. How different would that show be for you? It'd be super different because the stage hasn't been set. This is the same for your day. You can choose to show up and just have the wooden stage, just the floor, or you can set yourself up with the scenery and the props to help you dictate your day, master your day, win your day. So here's a couple of things that I like to do. I'm not a massive journaler, right? But I do tend to just write a few lines in the morning, and I will always pull a card. So on a Monday, I pull 3 cards to give me some guidance for the week, and the following days, I pull 1 card. I really prioritize moving. So I'll walk the dog and I'll work out because that makes me feel strong. It moves my body. I feel great doing it. If I don't do it in the morning, I have a lot of head drama, and it's way harder to do it later on in the afternoon because I just don't want to do it. So I'm looking at how do I amplify my energy first thing in the morning. Now, I do something called touching the vision, which I think I talked about in the last podcast. So make sure you go back and listen to that. It's not just about visualizing me having the things and the outcomes. It's about how do I show up every day for those things? What's different when I'm showing up for my goals versus when I'm not? But here's the difference. When I'm doing that, I'm using other anchors to make it more powerful. I put my speaker on and I have one of my power songs on. I burn my Palo Santo and my sage, so I have a visual smell. A visual smell? That doesn't make any sense. I have a sense of smell. And the other thing I'll do is I'll use my hands, and I sort of imagine myself creating with my hands, bringing energy in, going out into the universe and creating stuff. It really works for me. I'm a very kinesthetic and a very visual person. So I like to use all of those senses, and it just makes that visualization far stronger. That's number 1. So you set your morning stage: meditation, movement, journaling. I don't know, think about some other things that you could do. I mean, there are loads of things you could do, right? So you could pull yourself cards. You could do yoga. You could read. You could be silent. You could whatever. Doesn't matter. You have to know what puts you in the best physical, emotional, mental, spiritual state, and you commit to that. It also doesn't have to take you hours. Like, you can do it in 5 minutes. Number 2 is I design my week ahead of time. So on a Friday or a Sunday, I get very clear on what I have to achieve the following week. And I will also, and here's a big secret, is when you close your laptop down and you finish work, just check in with what's on your agenda for the following day. It will stop your brain asking you questions when you're trying to get to sleep. You already have clarity. You know what's going to happen the following day. Let your brain rest simply by checking in before the end of that day. Number 3 is block time. So I work in blocks of 55 minutes with a 5-minute break where I will get some water. I'll do some breath work. I will reactivate my energy with faster breath work or some jumping jacks or something, just to bring my energy back and put myself back in the game. Number 4, Shakti mat, breathing and visualization. So this is something that I've been doing for about 6 weeks now, and I love it. I lay on my Shakti mat. I put Wim Hof in my ears, not literally, and I do the Wim Hof breathing. And whilst I'm doing that, I imagine that every single cell in my body is lighting up like a light bulb. And I tell myself that I'm completely regenerating, that I'm completely in harmony with the universe. And I sort of imagine myself blending in with the universe completely energetically. And I tell myself I'm getting younger, I'm getting healthier, I'm getting more vibrant. And I see myself sort of like completely renewing on an energetic level, on a spiritual level. And I imagine that I'm completely rewiring my brain. So powerful. And finally, reviewing. Daily, weekly, monthly reviews are very, very powerful. Okay, just check in what worked today or this week or this month, what didn't, and what do I need to do differently. I was going to go into that in a bit more detail, but I'm actually going to save that for another podcast. Because I think one of the things that it's easy to do is, again, we get caught up in the actions that we take rather than what are those hammock of habits that I can have that support me taking those actions, right? So when you're doing your reviews, think outside the box. If you were struggling to be consistent in your business, what was going on in your life that was making that more of a challenge? And maybe when you do your review, it's not changing the action, it's changing the support that you give that action. So powerful. So this week's aha to action starts off with just knowing that the biggest problems that I see with my clients when it comes to them committing to action are the following 3. Number 1, not making it as easy as possible for themselves. So they don't get clear, they don't set themselves up for success. They make it harder for themselves, basically. Number 2, wanting to rush the timeline. Right? They want results more quickly, but they don't want to do the consistency of the action. And thirdly, not practicing thoughts that amplify the result of their action. Okay, they get so caught in the logic, in the physicality of stuff, they don't realize that they are either amplifying or diluting their results with the thoughts that carry the action. So let's address that in this week's exercise. 2 very simple things. Number 1, what are the things that you know that you have to do in order to achieve your goals, but you struggle to do them consistently? Once you've got an awareness of what they are, I want you to reduce the activation energy, which means make it as easy as possible for you to do it. Set yourself up for success. Right? I think I've got an episode somewhere called Plan for Failure. Go listen to that because it goes into this in a bit more detail. But how can you make it easier? Get your gym kit ready ahead of time. Do a menu plan. Have a list of social media things that you can talk about. Schedule your social media in advance. Get somebody else to help you with, the school pickup or the clubs. Like, again, think outside the box. You are not just a business. You are a person who has a business who also has a life. So you've got to think about those support systems. Reduce the activation energy, take the decisions out of it, get support, and make it as easy as possible for you to just do the things. This means like starting before the start. I've got an episode on that as well. Go find it. Take yourself back and have a look at what are the things that I need to do before I do the thing, and which of those can I adjust? And then kind of feeding into this, the second part is find the 3 actions that will give you the biggest bang for your buck and start being consistent there, knowing that they will ripple down. So earlier I shared with you that about sort of like working out for me is super important. But what I asked myself in July is, what am I willing to do in order to guarantee the success that I desire? And I recognized for me that I wanted to amplify my health. And I knew, and I made this decision for myself. I knew that if I committed to my health, that it would impact on my business, because I made that decision that would be true. So in July, I started the 65-day workout challenge. And then in August, I did alcohol free. And then in September, I started to do more of my Shakti mats and my visualizations. And so every month I look for something where I can amplify my health, and I make those my priority. So that is my priority, working on meeting more people. So I'm guided by every day, every week, every month. How do I get myself out in front of more people? I just have those 2 things. That's what I'm focusing on right now. You get to choose. But 2 or 3 actions that will give you the biggest bang for your buck. Think outside the box. Now, I know this was a little bit of a longer episode and there was a lot inside there, but I want to make sure that you can set yourself up for success. I want to make sure that you can choose the thoughts that are most beneficial to you. And I just want to leave it on the fact that if you've kept doing the same things for a long time and you haven't got the results yet, you have to be willing to do something different. And taking some of these things out and thinking about how you support your business through actions outside of your work, how you can elevate your health, how you can prioritize your energy and your thoughts, how you can trust yourself to do less, but do it more powerfully. They will move you forward more quickly, and they will give you that business breakthrough that you're looking for. I'll speak to you again on the next episode of the Build Your Business 6-Pack podcast.